With the 2024 NBA season now coming to a close, there's been one team and one team specifically that has just exceeded expectations far more than any other team, and that is the Houston Rockets. Now, this team is second in a loaded West. We're talking Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Stephen Curry, Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Western Conference is a bloodbath. You have the Memphis Grizzlies at the 8th seed with 45 wins. So what makes this team so special? How are they ranked ahead of teams like the Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, and all these other teams stacked with superstars? And this team doesn't have a single one of those. Houston Rockets' talent is so well spread, you could call it bread and butter. And that is exactly what they have with Jalen Green and Sengun is bread and butter. These two players in the pick and roll are perfect for one another. Sengun, think of Jokic just very watered down. A playmaking center that has a smooth handle, can shoot the mid-range, and can get post-block buckets. Jalen Green is a downhill slasher with shot-creating ability. The amount of pressure he puts on the rim only creates more collapses on the defense, opening up shots for Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and Amen Thompson in the future when he gets his jump shot right. However, this team doesn't have what other playoff teams have, and that is an all-NBA player. When you take a look at the standings, the Houston Rockets are the only team in the top 8 of the Western Conference that don't have an all-NBA player. The only team closest to not having an all-NBA player would be the 8th seeded Memphis Grizzlies, and Ja Morant has proven to make an all-NBA team in the past. When you go to the Eastern Conference, only one team in the Eastern Conference is in the playoffs without an all-NBA player, and that is the Orlando Magic, and they still have Paolo Banchero. They're missing one of the most important factors of playoff success, and that is having a top 15 to top 10 player is a requirement now in the new NBA. So how exactly have they gotten through this adversity through the regular season? It's simple. This team does 3 things very well. This team isn't relying on one guy to give them buckets. They have 8 players on this team scoring over 10 points per game. That is one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They have a backup center that is averaging 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game. The amount of rotational pieces this team have make their starters to bench rotation almost identical. Jalen Green leading the way with 21 points per game and their second scorer averaging 19. This team doesn't over-rely on one specific player to get them a win every single night. And come playoff time, depth is one of the most important factors to see when you want to win a 7-game series. Now, however, depth isn't the most and only important factor in the playoffs. Not having a superstar isn't the only thing that matters in the playoffs. How can they make up for this? Well, they're going to have to rely on defense and their rebounding. The Houston Rockets are the 4th ranked defensive rating team in the NBA. So that's pretty good, and that puts them in the top of the league, ahead of teams like the Celtics, ahead of teams like the Cavaliers, and ahead of teams like the Pistons, who are known for their grit and grind defense. However, like we said, that's not enough to make up for not having a guy like LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Stephen Curry. You're going to need something else. Well, this team is a great rebounding team as well. They are 7th in rebounding, so they are a proven rebounding team. However, one thing to pay attention to is the amount of points they allow off of turnovers. They rank 5th in the NBA for opponents' points off of turnovers. And one thing that will kill you in any game, but especially the NBA playoffs, is turnovers. And with them not having one specific guy to go to at the end of the quarter, turnovers are going to be a lot more consistent because not as many guys are holding onto the rock as often. Now, we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder collapse in the playoffs last year after being the number 1 seed yet again. And this year, this team reminds me a lot of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Green being the SGA, obviously not as good. Amen Thompson being the Jalen Williams. And of course, Sengun being Chet Holmgren. The team has a lot of similarities. Obviously, play style is vastly different. But as far as the way the stars are spread around, it's typically the same. They're a solid rebounding team, better than Oklahoma City was last year. Their defense is nowhere near as good. Their offense isn't as good. And their top-end players aren't as good. Now, however, this does hold weight, and they are a good team. The playoffs are just a different atmosphere. Everything is different. Defense, shot making, reffing, it's going to be a different game. And this is a team that I don't think that their regular season success is just going to carry over, at least not to the multitude that it did in the regular season. So for these Houston Rockets, we're going to have to call these guys pretenders. Will they win a playoff series? It's going to be interesting to see how they play, but right now I'm going to have to give these guys a no as far as a legit contender.